Welcome back to my channel, and in today's video we are recapping Married at First Sight season 11 episode 4, What Happened Last Night. So we're going to get into this video and talk about these couples. So our first couple we're talking about is Amelia and Bennett, and this is basically a recap of that night after the wedding. Looked like Bennett was having some difficulty trying to undo Amelia's zipper, but she made it fun. She made it playful. While he was trying to unzip that dress, she was playing a musical tune on her glasses. So it was a pretty funny situation, but those two, they tend to keep it light anyway. We also saw Bennett in his night attire. He obviously have comfortable attire that he is most comfortable with. And Amelia seemed to be comfortable with it too, as she also had her onesie on. So these two are so fun together. She didn't make him feel uncomfortable for his night attire, and they even were playing around with each other's eyeglasses. These two couples are too cute for their own good, but they seem to be working out, so we will see how Amelia and Bennett will go. Now our next couple is Brett and Olivia, and Olivia is just so easygoing, and Brett seems like he's a totally different person when he doesn't have any alcohol in him. I don't know, but he was also trying to help her undo her dress. They got ready to turn in for the evening, and they seem kind of comfortable with each other. I know she seems to be comfortable with him. She's attracted to him. He seems to be pretty attracted to her. They seem to have whatever little chemistry they do have. I hope these two couples work out, but we should see. I don't know, Brett, the jury's still out on him, but Olivia, she's just so whimsical and happy-go-lucky, and she's fun. I really, really like her. But she seemed to be very pleased with who they matched her with. In regards to her having Brett and they were doing their nighttime routine, he seems to be happy with her. I mean, they're having a great time. So, I don't know. I'm looking forward to see what this couple has to offer. So, our next couple is Henry and Christina. Now, again, Henry is not a great communicator. He seems like a really extreme introvert. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. And, Christina's hanging in there. I mean, they tried to have some dialogue before turning into bed, but I mean, she's trying. She hasn't completely given up on him, but communication is going to be a big thing for Henry if this is going to go anywhere. And as we see later on, the parents are going to really enforce that on him. So we'll see what happens with Henry and Christina. I hope they figure this thing out. I know she's going to have to really be more assertive with him, because talking to him, you're going to have to pull it out of him. So we'll see what's going to go on with Henry and Christina as the episodes unfold. So our next couples, obviously it looks like Woody and Amani kind of crashed the party at Miles and Karen's room. Two best friends. They had to introduce their new wives, even though the wives had already met each other. But I don't think the wives, Karen and Amani, know that these two are already best friends. But you know what? They seem so comfortable with each other. So now we're going to just narrow it down to Karen and Miles. They're kind of turning in for the night as well. Miles is such a sweet guy. I hope Karen can really, let some of her walls down to, let Miles in. He seems like a good guy. We don't know. We'll see how the season unfolds, but he's massaging her feet. I mean, he was really obliging to her, and he even slept at her feet as he massaged her feet. So she is a sweet guy. So the next morning was pretty interesting. He asked for her phone number, and I think she was pretty serious about Well, I don't know if I should give you that, sir. I don't know you that well. She could have been joking, but hey, she also went and did some digging on him on social media. So she could at least give him the phone number, okay? Really, just like he told her. But I don't know whether she was joking. We'll see. All right, so now we have Woody and Amani as they are turning in for the night. She was really, wanted to make sure he see the real her without makeup. So, and it didn't bother him not one bit. I love this couple, the affection that Woody shows to her, and she seems to be pretty much receptive to it. His compliments can be a little over the top, but she manages them in stride. So the next morning, they're having croissants and fruit for breakfast, and just good dialogue and conversation between these two. So I am really feeling this couple. I have high hopes for them. They have so much chemistry. The communication is on point. She's a little reserved, but not overly reserved, that she's still open to want to see where this relationship could possibly go. But I am really feeling these two. And comment down below if which one is your favorite couple. I know this one is mine. And, Amani seems pretty happy. So let's meet the parents. So the first family and parent we meet is Karen's mom. Miles is having a sit down with her over a meal. And I'm telling you, Karen's mom is like, look, I'm not playing with you. I need to know what your intentions are. What are you going to do to take care of my daughter? I mean, she is really, really trying to chime in. I think that's her sister, was trying to lighten up the conversation, her and her husband. But mom, it wasn't having it. And then we have Amani on the other side having a meal with Miles' parents. And the thing about Miles' mom, that's her baby. That's, her sister. His sister was also there. But the mom is like, look, if you don't want them, send them back and I'll pick up the rest. And the husband was like, okay, really? We're trying to get to know her, not to make Miles look like a mama's boy. But mom was adamant. And Karen, I think it had her a little bit concerned. So we'll see how she deal with it. So now we are with Amelia's mom, and Bennett is having some conversation. The biggest topic on this conversation was Amelia's residency, as she is becoming a doctor, and whether Bennett would be able to move if she has to move. And he kind of danced around the question, but it's only been 24 hours, like he said. So they're going to have to discuss this. He said he's open to moving, but we'll see. So then on the flip side, we have Amelia talking to Bennett's mom and dad. And, Bennett's mom and dad is pretty easygoing. They were having a great time. Amelia, I love that smile. She's always laughing and happy. Bennett's mom was pretty much straightforward, just trying to get to know her. And, it was pretty interesting conversation. So then we have Olivia, who is talking to Brett's family. I think this is, his brothers. And one thing about them is that they stalked her online. They actually have mutual friends. Some of Olivia's friends are mutual friends of Brett's friends. So they wanted to see what Olivia was all about. So they kind of stalked her. And then on the flip side, we had Brett talking to Olivia's mom and dad, and their biggest thing was religion. And one thing that they wanted to know is what was his thoughts on religion and Christianity. That was one of the things especially her dad talked about. And Brett was pretty much transparent. I am agnostic. Religion, maybe not my thing. If she wants to practice her religion, I have no problem with that. So our next parent we have is Woody's mom, and you have Amani getting some information. One of the biggest things about this conversation is Woody's mom talking about his temper, and that she claimed to see the devil come out of him. Family can be pretty interesting. However, she omitted that he went to counseling. Interesting. So then Woody on the flip side had conversation with Amani's family. There's the dad with the big smile, and then Amani's mom. And their question was, what happened in your previous relationships? He admitted, he was transparent. Hey, it didn't work out. We both cheated. And he didn't have to tell them that. So I really like the fact that he was open and honest with them. He was transparent to say, look, hey, my past is my past. It is what it is. So, that's why my past relationship didn't work, and keep it moving. So now we have the family of Henry's parents talking to Christina, and Brett's father was not Brett, Henry's father. I keep getting those two mixed up. Henry's father was interesting. I mean, he kind of was throwing some mud at his own son. I mean, what's you guys' opinion? I mean, he really's talking about his chest hair, how hairy a person he is. I mean, he loves his son, but, that was an interesting conversation that his dad had with Christina. So it's going to be interesting to see how, part of probably Henry's personality has to do with, the relationship with his parents, especially his father. Now, this particular conversation was like watching paint dry. I mean, they were trying to engage Henry, but he's just so introverted. The conversation was like, yes, no, yeah, well, how about cooking? We can all cook together. Okay. Well, we like to grill. You can grill. No, I can't do that. I mean, it was like pulling teeth. So one of the biggest things that one of the family members said was that, Henry, you're going to have to communicate. So he's going to have to work on that. And, if she might be willing to help him. So now after all of the family meetings, it's time to own up to each other and see what the family said about each other. So with Miles, he had a conversation with Karen. Karen was like, hey, your mom absolutely adores you. And then he said the same thing. Your mom want to make sure you're taken care of. So, they pretty much have very overprotective moms. So we'll see how that go. And then the conversation between Henry and Christina. Christina, asking about what was going on with, the situation with him and his father. And then, of course, with her, telling, you need to communicate. All right. Then with Amani and Woody, Amani was straightforward. Hey, what's up with your temper? And he was like, you know what? Yep, I had a temper. I went through counseling, which I think that was awesome for him to do. He got the help he needed to try to work on that. And that was very impressive to Amani. So I never knock anybody for going to counseling. Sometimes you do need that help to deal with some things in your life, especially with him since he was missing his dad. So I'm glad that they actually had this conversation, and she was really pleased after the fact that he was honest about this. The next conversation between Brett and Olivia, Brett asked her about, religion. They had already talked about it. And then, of course, she asked him about what the brothers were saying about who he was. And so they pretty much had a nice dialogue. They were really comfortable with each other to try to make sure that, they kind of get an idea what each of the families said about them. So they were pretty cool with everything. And I like how, that conversation went as well. And at the end of the day, it ended on a good note. So then the final couple is Amelia and Bennett. And then, Bennett talked to her about what her mom said about residency. And then she also brought up the fact about adoption and kids, because Bennett had to explain himself. He said basically adoption is the best way because the world is overpopulated. But she wants to have children. So this is going to be an interesting dynamic to see how these two figure children out in their relationship. And we'll see how this goes. So stay tuned. In the next video is part 2 for the honeymoon.